Damn it, I'm the adult now. There's no magical grown-up in the next room anymore. No one's coming to make sure you eat, sleep, drink water, stop doom scrolling, or leave that toxic situationship you keep calling complicated. It's just you. Just you. And that's the moment maturity starts. Not when you turn 30, not when you pay taxes, not when you buy almond milk and get excited about air fryers. Maturity starts the second you realize that no one is driving the car anymore, but you. And the scary part? You've been behind the wheel the whole damn time. Look, if you feel like you're stuck, burned out, quietly screaming into your pillow at 2 a.m. while binge watching your ex's new situationship on IG, congrats. You're not immature. You're just deeply awake in a world that constantly tells you to stay asleep. And being awake hurts like hell. Nobody tells you that maturity is mostly grief, grieving the fantasy, the version of life you thought you'd have by now, the version of you that didn't settle, didn't waste time, didn't scroll for hours looking for a dopamine drip disguised as TikTok motivation. But let's break this down. You want the signs of maturity? Here, I'll give them to you raw. You stop expecting closure. You just stop. Not because you're over it, but because one day you wake up and realize you've been holding your breath for a chapter that's already ended. You've been standing in the ruins, waiting for the person who burned it all down to show up with a bucket of water and a handwritten note that says, "My bad." And you finally see it for what it is, a trap. A trap disguised as hope. You think closure will give you peace. But what it really does, keeps you on the hook, waiting, stuck. Because there's a part of you that still wants the story to make sense, still wants a reason, a why, a clean, satisfying conclusion that wraps everything up like a Netflix finale. But life doesn't work like that. People leave messy, they disappear without warning. They ghost you, breadcrumb you, cheat, lie, love bomb, trauma dump, then vanish into the algorithm, like they were never real. And you're left there, holding the emotional bag, wondering, was it me? Did I love too much, too fast, not enough? You scroll back through the messages. You replay every word. You write a message you'll never send. You write a message they'll never send. And then, one day, you snap. Not in a dramatic, flip the table kind of way, but in a quiet, exhausted, soul deep kind of way. You just go, this isn't mine to carry anymore. That's the shift. That's the moment you grow. Not when they apologize, but when you no longer need them to. When you realize, even if they said everything you wanted to hear, it still wouldn't unbreak what broke. It still wouldn't change the fact that you had to rebuild yourself without them. It still wouldn't erase the hours, days, weeks you spent spiraling while they moved on like you were a deleted draft. You stop needing their words because you find your own. You look in the mirror and say, it hurt, it mattered, and I'm still here. You write your own damn ending. You say, yeah, they left me confused, hurting, overthinking, crying in the bathroom stall at work. But I picked myself up. I loved myself through it. I didn't get the closure I wanted. I gave myself the closure I needed. That's maturity. That's the real flex. Not pretending it didn't hurt, but choosing to heal anyway. Without the apology, without the explanation, without the closure you were promised. You don't wait anymore. You walk. That's when you reclaim your power. And that's when life starts moving again. Not backwards, not toward them, forward, toward you. Two, you stop arguing to be understood. Because one day, you realize you've been wasting your breath trying to teach algebra to people who refuse to learn numbers. You've been turning yourself into PowerPoint presentations, long-winded text essays, voice notes with trembling voices and careful disclaimers, trying to explain your boundaries like you're running a customer service hotline for people who never plan to respect you anyway. And that's when it hits you. Oh, they don't get it because they don't want to. They're not confused. They're just committed to misunderstanding you because it makes them feel better about not changing. And you finally get tired, tired of over-explaining, tired of defending your gut feelings like they're conspiracy theories, tired of watering yourself down just to avoid conflict with people who wouldn't flinch at stepping all over you, so you stop. Not out of arrogance, out of self-respect. You stop turning your boundaries into TED Talks. You stop needing to be got. You just think, if you don't get it by now, you're not supposed to. You stop trying to win debates that cost your peace. You stop showing your soul to people who treat it like a Yelp review. 3 stars, too emotional, would not recommend. You stop letting their confusion become your crisis. You stop performing. Because you realize your life is not a courtroom. You're not on trial. You don't owe cross-examinations every time you say no. You don't need a PowerPoint titled Why I Chose Myself with footnotes and APA citations. If someone really sees you, you don't need to explain much. If someone doesn't, no amount of explaining will ever be enough. That's the law of emotional gravity. What's meant to meet you at your level won't make you climb down to prove your worth. And honestly, it's freedom. The day you stop arguing, defending, over-explaining, and you just say, cool. You don't understand? Cool. You think I'm dramatic? Cool. You think boundaries are selfish? Cool. I'm not a damn iPhone update. You don't get better reception just because I try harder. You start choosing peace over being right. You start choosing solitude over noise. You start realizing that silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. Because when you finally stop arguing to be understood, you make room for the people who already do. And that changes everything. 3. You learn how to sit with yourself. Oof, this one hurts in a way that doesn't even have words. Because no one warns you how deafening the silence is when you stop running from it. When you finally put the phone down, turn the TV off, take the headphones out, and you're just there with you. No distractions, no curated playlists to drown out the anxiety, just raw, unfiltered, unedited you. And at first, it's terrifying because suddenly, all the stuff you've been out running, it catches up. The voices in your head start talking louder than ever. Why aren't you further in life? Why are you still alone? Why do you feel so broken when everyone else looks like they've got it together? And your first instinct? Run. Open Instagram. Text someone toxic, overwork, overeat, overthink, anything to not be alone with yourself. Because for most of us, silence isn't peace, it's punishment. It's the place we buried all the stuff we weren't allowed to feel. The guilt, the shame, the rage, the loneliness that hits harder when the world goes quiet. But maturity? Real, soul-level, life-altering maturity. It's the moment you stop running. You sit down, and you say, okay, let's feel this. You stop seeing your feelings as enemies to fight. You start seeing them as messengers. Whispers from your inner child who never got to speak. Tears that were never safe enough to cry. Anger that never got permission to scream. You start realizing you're not crazy, you're not dramatic, you're just feeling things you were taught to numb. And yeah, it's messy. Sometimes it's ugly crying on your bedroom floor. Sometimes it's staring at the wall for an hour because your brain feels too loud to move. Sometimes it's journaling gibberish that makes no sense except to the part of you that needed to get it out. But you sit, you stay. You don't abandon yourself this time. You say, I know you're hurting, and I'm not leaving you for a screen this time. I'm here with you, even if no one else is. That moment, that's sacred. That's when something inside you starts to trust you again. Like, oh, we're not running anymore. We're not stuffing it down. We're not distracting away the pain. We're facing it. And here's the wild part. Eventually, it starts to hurt less. Not because the pain disappears, but because you've built the strength to carry it. You've learned to hold space for your own chaos without trying to fix it, label it, or shame it. You've become the safe space you always looked for in other people. That's growth. That's healing. That's the kind of peace no external noise can give you. Because when you finally learn how to sit with yourself, you stop needing the world to rescue you from your own mind. You become your own anchor. You used to be quick with it. The screenshot, the sub, the quote tweet with just enough shade to sting, but not enough to look bitter. The I'm fine energy laced with quiet vengeance. You knew how to burn bridges with elegance. But then life humbles you. One passive-aggressive jab too many. One fake friend too close. One argument that left you asking, why do I feel worse after defending myself? And that's when it hits you. Not everyone deserves your fire. Not everything needs your energy. Some people are just empty, and they get loud to fill the silence of their own hollowness. You see the shade. You catch the subliminal. You hear the jab masked as a joke. But instead of clapping back, you just blink. You could wreck them with receipts. You could call them out in a paragraph that starts with, since we're being honest, but you don't. Because somewhere along the way, you learn something powerful. Peace is expensive. And your energy, it's not on clearance anymore. You start recognizing bait when you see it. That snarky comment, bait. That fake concern, bait. That friend who suddenly cares what you're up to now that you're glowing again, bait. And instead of biting, you smile. You go quiet. You choose stillness. Not because you're scared, but because you finally understand. Not reacting is a reaction. The strongest one you've got. You stop posting vague captions like, loyalty hits different when it's real. You stop sending cryptic tweets with Drake lyrics. You stop playing chess with people who are just throwing checkers at your head. You don't explain. You don't defend. You just don't. Because now, your peace is non-negotiable. Your silence is strategy. Your calm is your armor. You realize that reacting means inviting their energy into your life. And when someone lives in chaos, they're dying to bring you into it. Because your calm threatens their dysfunction. Your healing exposes their avoidance. Your peace makes them itch. So you stop reacting not because you don't see the shade. You do. You just choose not to sit in the dark and trust. There is no louder statement than choosing not to play a game someone designed for you to lose. Let them talk. Let them twist it. Let them tell their side. You don't need to prove your truth. You live it. And that silence, that's not weakness. That's emotional power. That's self-respect. That's maturity. Because the real flex is peace you don't have to post about. 5. You start choosing discipline over dopamine. And let me tell you, this one doesn't feel sexy at all. It's not aesthetic. It's not lighting candles and sipping matcha and journaling with your healing playlist on. It's ugly. It's gritty. It's choosing to do the hard thing when everything in your brain is screaming for the easy one. It's sitting with that craving to text the person you know damn well is a walking red flag and not doing it. It's staring at the install button on the app you deleted for your mental health and walking away. It's saying, I'm bored, I'm lonely, I'm sad, but I'm not going to numb it with another scroll, another snack, another situationship. Discipline is doing what's necessary, not what's fun. It's brushing your teeth and making your bed even when your brain feels like a swamp. It's choosing to move your body even when your soul is dragging. It's canceling the plan that drains you. Saying no when yes would be easier. Getting off the damn phone and going to sleep. You start realizing dopamine is cheap. It's fast. It hits quick and crashes hard. It's the high after binge watching a whole season of a show you don't even like, only to wake up the next day feeling even more stuck, even more disconnected. But discipline? That's slow, it's quiet. It doesn't give you fireworks. It gives you a foundation. You do the boring things. You journal instead of trauma dumping. You stretch, you hydrate. You clean that tiny corner of your room that's been haunting you, not because you feel like it, but because you finally realize, this is how I become someone I respect. It's one small choice, then another and another. And suddenly you're not just surviving the day, you're building one. You're laying bricks instead of taping up cracks. You're designing a life that feels safe to live in. And here's the real kicker. No one sees this part. No one claps for you because you got out of bed and made eggs instead of skipping breakfast again. No one gives you a medal for not texting your ex. No one celebrates the day you went for a walk instead of spiraling. But you feel it. Inside, that slow, steady shift. That quiet pride. That whisper that says, I'm doing it. Even when it's hard. Even when no one's watching. That's discipline. That's self-respect in action. That's you becoming someone your future self is going to thank the hell out of. Because when you stop chasing dopamine and you start choosing discipline, you don't just feel better, you become better. Slow, messy, powerful, grown-up stuff. 6, you stop romanticizing potential. Oof, this one hurts in the kind of way that feels like losing a dream. Because potential is intoxicating. It's a fantasy wrapped in just enough truth to keep you hooked. It's almost. It's soon. It's, I swear I'm working on it. And when you've got a big heart, you want to believe. You need to believe. You tell yourself, he's just scared of intimacy. She just needs more time. This job just doesn't see me yet, but they will. If I just stay, if I just wait, if I just love harder, work harder, shrink quieter, bend more, break less, then they'll change. But here's the cold truth. Potential doesn't pay rent in your peace. Hope is not a strategy, and love can't fill a gap that someone's not even trying to close. You stop romanticizing people who show you glimpses instead of consistency. You stop falling for could be when your nervous system is screaming, this already is. Anxiety isn't attraction. Inconsistency isn't mystery. And confusion is not chemistry. It's a red flag doing the Macarena in front of your face. Maturity is choosing reality over the highlight reel in your head. It's realizing that a promise without action is a lullaby for your attachment wound. It's asking, do I love them? Or do I love the story I wrote about who they might become if they changed everything that's hurting me? You stop building futures out of potential because you've seen what it costs. You've seen yourself pouring into someone who left you dry. You've played architect to lives that weren't yours to build. You've written poems about people who never even picked up a pen. And eventually, you get tired. You get tired of fighting for what could be while bleeding in what is. You stop waiting for them to become. And you start becoming for yourself. And yeah, your ego will scream. But what if they change right after I leave? But what if I was the one person who could have helped them grow? But what if I'm giving up too soon? Let it scream. That's not your soul talking. That's your scarcity. That's the part of you that still believes love is earned through suffering, that your worth is tied to your ability to stay, fix, endure. But your soul knows. Your soul whispers, this doesn't feel like love. It feels like surviving love. And so you walk, not because you don't care, but because you finally do, for yourself. You choose aligned over almost, peace over potential, reality over the fantasy you wrote to survive the chaos. That's maturity. That's power. That's the moment you stop falling in love with versions of people that only exist in your head and start making space for the real ones who show up, stand up, and grow up without needing to be rescued. You forgive people who never said sorry. And let's be honest, this one feels like betrayal at first. Like you're letting them off the hook. Like you're saying it's okay when it absolutely was not okay. They hurt you. They lied. They disappeared. They manipulated, gaslit, abandoned, humiliated you, and never looked back. And for the longest time, you held that pain like a sword, sharpened it every day with anger, and replayed arguments. Told yourself, they need to know what they did. They need to feel what I felt. They owe me an apology. But here's the thing about that apology. You're holding your healing hostage for a letter that may never come. You're waiting for the villain to have a plot twist redemption arc. You're hoping that if you suffer long enough, they'll suddenly grow a conscience. But they don't. And even if they do, it won't rewrite what happened. It won't undo the nights you cried, the confidence they shattered, or the therapy you paid for because of their emotional immaturity. So one day, you stop. Not because they changed, but because you did. You get tired of carrying rage that burns you. You get tired of being the one keeping the story alive while they live like nothing happened. You look at the emotional backpack you've been hauling around, full of what ifs, I should have saids, and how could they's, and you just say, I'm done. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose freedom over resentment. You stop needing the apology because you start seeing forgiveness for what it actually is. Self-liberation. It's saying, you don't have to fix it. You don't have to own it. You don't even have to know that I've forgiven you. Because this is not about them. This is about you. You forgive because your peace is not a hostage. You forgive because you want your life back. Because every grudge you carry is energy you could be using to rebuild, to rest, to laugh again, to finally breathe without that tightness in your chest when their name comes up. And no, it doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're okay now, despite it. It means they don't get to live rent-free in your nervous system anymore. And the most powerful part? You don't post about it. You don't send a long, I forgive you text. You don't throw it in their face like some spiritual mic drop. You just let it go. Quietly, completely. Like setting down a bag you didn't realize was breaking your back. That's maturity. That's healing in its most sacred form. The kind no one sees, but you feel. And that feeling, that freedom, that's the real apology you were waiting for all along. And you gave it to yourself. 8, you start parenting yourself. And at first, it feels ridiculous. You're sitting there, mid-spiral, mascara smeared, brain on fire, heart racing, and suddenly, a tiny voice in your head goes, hey, sweetie, maybe let's not text our ex right now, yeah? And it stops you. Not because it's loud, but because it's new. It's gentle. And you realize, holy shit, I'm becoming the parent I needed. Because for years, you ignored yourself, abandoned yourself, bullied yourself into productivity, shamed yourself out of feelings. You told yourself to get over it, to be strong, to not be dramatic, because that's what you were taught. Survival, softness, achievement, awareness. Looks good on the outside, feels safe on the inside. But then the breakdowns got too loud. The panic attacks got sneakier. The scrolling got darker. And one night, maybe 2 a.m., maybe rock bottom, you realized, no one's coming to save me. No one's going to sit me down and say, hey, you're not broken. You're just tired. So you do it yourself, clumsily, awkwardly. You start noticing the patterns. You catch yourself about to spiral and go, okay, breathe. This isn't truth, it's fear. Let's ground, let's drink water. Let's not diagnose our sadness with a Google search at midnight. You start reparenting the part of you that never felt safe enough to just feel. You talk to yourself like someone worth loving, not shaming. You don't punish yourself for needing rest. You offer it. You don't shame yourself for having emotions. You validate them like, of course you're overwhelmed. You've been holding the weight of your whole life in silence. Take a minute. I got you. And it's weird at first, like you're babysitting your own breakdowns. Like you're some exhausted nanny whispering affirmations to the messiest kid alive who also happens to be you, but it works. You stop abandoning yourself when things get hard. You don't gaslight your own pain. You don't turn away in shame. You lean in with compassion. You learn to be both the storm and the shelter. That's inner parenting. That's healing on a whole other level. And no one claps for it. No one sees you choosing herbal tea over vodka, or journaling instead of rage texting, or going to bed early instead of numbing out with more chaos. But you see it. You feel it. And slowly your inner world changes. The self-hate gets quieter. The panic gets softer. The chaos has somewhere to land. You. You stop being your own worst enemy. You become your first responder, your safe space, your gentle voice in the dark. And that's not weakness. That's power. That's love. That's you, finally showing up for the one person who needed it most. You. 9. You stop chasing people who left you confused. Because confusion isn't a vibe, it's a warning. And deep down, you know that. You know what it feels like to sit by the phone, waiting for a reply that never comes. To replay every word, every emoji, every pause in the conversation like it's a crime scene. To wonder if you're too much, too needy, too available, too quiet, too you. But guess what? If someone leaves you anxious more than they leave you smiling, that's not a connection. That's a cortisol drip. That's your nervous system doing backflips trying to make sense of the mixed signals they're deliberately sending. If you leave every interaction feeling smaller, more confused, more insecure, that's not love. That's your self-worth getting eaten alive while your brain calls it romance. You're not crazy. You're conditioned. Conditioned to think the chase means something, that emotional whiplash is passion, that being ignored is a challenge to win. But here's the truth. If you have to chase it, it's not love. It's survival mode in skinny jeans. You're not in love. You're triggered. You're trying to earn affection by being the most understanding, chill, low maintenance, no pressure version of yourself. But you're not supposed to shrink to be loved. You're not supposed to twist into emotional origami just to stay interesting. You're not supposed to leave every interaction with more questions than answers, maturity. It's when you stop mistaking chemistry for compatibility. It's when you stop being impressed by people who feel like a thrill and start being drawn to people who feel like safety. It's when you realize that butterflies aren't always romance. Sometimes they're your body going, run. You stop falling for potential. You stop choosing maybe. You start craving clarity. Because the older you get, the more attractive consistency becomes. Someone who texts back, someone who listens, someone who actually remembers what you said last week because they care, not because they're playing a game. You pick the one who shows up every damn time. Not perfectly, but honestly. Not with fireworks, but with follow through. That's not boring. That's emotional security. That's what healthy feels like when you've only known chaos. And yeah, your ego might scream, but the spark, but the chase, but it was so intense. Let it scream. You're not chasing anymore. You're choosing. You're choosing people who don't make you question your worth every 5 minutes. You're choosing peace over passion that burns you alive. You're choosing yourself. And when you stop chasing the people who left you confused, you finally have room for the ones who make you feel sure. No games, no guesswork, just real, solid, soul-nourishing love. The kind that doesn't need chasing. Because it chooses you too. 10. You start liking your own company, like actually liking it. Not just tolerating it. Not just distracting yourself until someone texts back, but genuinely vibing with your own presence. Laughing alone like a weirdo at your own thoughts. Talking to yourself in the mirror like, okay, low-key, you're kind of hilarious. You stop needing constant plans, constant people, constant noise. Because you've made peace with the quiet. You've made peace with you. You take yourself on solo dates and don't make it sad. You get dressed up for no one. You romanticize the hell out of drinking coffee in silence. You start journaling like it's your personal HBO drama. Plot twists, ugly cries, healing arcs, and all. And somewhere in the middle of all that solitude, something clicks. You look around your room, tissues on the floor, candles lit, half a face mask on, and you go, damn, I'm kind of dope. Not in a narcissistic, I'm better than everyone kind of way, but in a holy shit, I survive things I don't talk about kind of way. In a despite all the chaos, I still choose to show up and try again tomorrow kind of way. In a no one sees half the effort it takes for me to stay here, and I'm still here anyway kind of way. That kind of self-love, it's not loud. It's not performative. It's not curated for likes. It's earned. It's sacred. It's the reward for every night you didn't give up. Every moment you picked yourself instead of chasing validation. Every time you forgave yourself for not healing fast enough. Okay, story time, because you need one. A few years ago, I was having the worst breakdown of my life. Like, full-blown ugly crying on the kitchen floor. 3 a.m. sweatpants, crumbs everywhere, an existential crisis and a stomach ache. The works. From the outside, I was fine. I had the job, the relationship, the filtered smile, but inside, dumpster fire, anxiety on loop, self-worth in shambles. Felt like I was living someone else's life on mute. And I remember whispering through tears, what the hell is wrong with me? Like I was broken, defective, too sensitive for this world. And then something shifted. It was small, but loud. A whisper inside me said, nothing. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just finally feeling what you were never allowed to feel. You're grieving the things you never got to mourn. You're crashing not because you're weak, but because your soul is finally breaking through the numbness. That moment changed me. Because that's what maturity really is. It's not some polished, confident version of you who's got it all figured out. It's the version of you crying on the floor and still saying, I'm not quitting on myself. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone to fix you and start showing up for you. It's raw. It's lonely. It's unglamorous. And it is the most sacred journey you'll ever take. You don't get a roadmap. You get moments. Tiny, quiet, holy moments. Where you pause, breathe, and go, wait. I'm actually doing this. I'm healing, I'm rewiring, I'm breaking a cycle that's been running for generations. You feel the tears, and instead of pushing them away, you say, feel it, babe. You're safe now. You hear the old voice in your head say, you're not enough. And you answer back with, watch me. You start cheering for yourself in the silence. That's when you know. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. It's messy. It's nonlinear. It's slow, confusing, and full of moments where you question everything. And it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever do. So if no one's told you lately, you're doing better than you think. Seriously. You're not failing. You're healing. You're not lost. You're just rebuilding without the blueprint you should have been given as a kid. And you're doing it with grace. Send this to the friend who's been way too hard on themselves lately. The one who's been holding it all in. The one who needs to hear. You're allowed to take up space. They're allowed to rest. You're allowed them to feel proud of yourself. Even if it's just for getting through the damn day. And then be your own damn hero. Hold your own hand. Look in the mirror and say, we're going to get through this. Not perfectly, but powerfully.